Have you ever wondered how a group of criminals managed to steal $45 million from ATMs in over 24 countries? Picture this, a clandestine gathering of tech-savvy rogues, a cyber ring, each with a shared vision of pulling off the perfect crime. Their target? Not the massive vaults of a bank or the personal accounts of the wealthy, but something seemingly innocuous. Prepaid debit cards. They knew that these cards, often overlooked, held an exploitable weakness. They were going to hack into them, manipulate their coding, and turn them into an endless source of cash. The plan was to create a limitless balance. Imagine an ATM card that never runs out of money. A perfect plan, isn't it? The idea was audacious, the plot was daring, and the potential bounty was enormous. They decided to test the waters, to see if their plan could really work, to see if they could really outsmart the system without triggering alarms or suspending activity. Little did the world know that this was just the beginning of one of the most audacious cyber heists in history. December 21, 2012, an ordinary day for most, but for this cyber ring it was payday. The group had worked meticulously to hack into prepaid debit cards, a seemingly innocuous target. But their true genius lay in their next move. They removed the withdrawal limits on these cards. This seemingly small change transformed these cards into a golden goose. Now they could withdraw as much money as they wanted from ATMs, without setting off any alarms. And that's exactly what they did. They went from ATM to ATM, withdrawing money, their pockets getting heavier with every stop. By the end of the day, they had stolen a staggering $5 million. And the most astonishing part? They did all this without triggering a single alarm or suspending activity. The financial institutions had no idea what hit them. The accounts were depleted, but the customers were none the wiser. It was the perfect crime. The first strike was successful, but they were far from done. February 19, 2013, a date that would go down in the annals of cybercrime. It was a day that marked the second and biggest theft of this audacious cyber ring. They were about to pull off a heist that would dwarf their previous endeavor, stealing a mind-boggling $40 million in a single day. The method? The same as before. Prepaid debit cards, hacked to have unlimited balances. These cards were essentially keys to vaults filled with money, and the criminals were about to unlock the door. The brilliance of this scheme was in its simplicity. The funds were not taken from individual customer accounts, but directly from the coffers of financial institutions. This was not a series of small thefts, but a massive, coordinated attack on the very heart of these organizations. Imagine the audacity of it. Walking up to an ATM, card in hand, and withdrawing thousands of dollars, over and over again, without triggering a single alarm. It was as if they had found a loophole in the system, exploited it, and walked away with a fortune. But the success of this heist wasn't merely due to the ingenuity of the criminals. It was also a result of the complacency and outdated technology of the institutions they were robbing. Their security systems were simply not equipped to handle this kind of attack. The criminals had found a weak spot and struck with precision and ruthlessness. The criminals left no stone unturned in their quest for wealth. They hid ATMs in over 24 countries, spanning every continent. Each withdrawal, each transaction, added to their growing fortune. It was a global operation, meticulously planned and flawlessly executed. In one fell swoop, they had stolen $45 million, but their audacity would soon catch up with them. It was only a matter of time before the authorities would start piecing together the puzzle. The chase was on, and the next chapter of this astonishing story was about to begin. Every crime, no matter how perfect, leaves a trail, and this was no exception. In the wake of this unprecedented theft, the world was left in shock. $45 million had been siphoned off from ATMs across the globe, leaving financial institutions scrambling to understand how this could have happened. As the dust settled, the authorities started piecing together the puzzle. This wasn't a typical case of robbery. This was a cyber heist, a crime executed with precision and audacity, leaving no stone unturned. It was a race against time, a race that was as digital as the crime itself. The law enforcement agencies, armed with their cyber expertise, began tracing the electronic breadcrumbs left behind. Every transaction, every hacked prepaid debit card, every ATM withdrawal was a piece of a larger jigsaw puzzle. And slowly, the picture began to emerge. The trail led them to an international cyber ring, a group of sophisticated criminals who had orchestrated this grand theft. The audacious plan, the swift execution, and the global reach, It all pointed towards a well-oiled machine of criminals who knew the ins and outs of the digital world. In May 2013, a breakthrough occurred. 8 suspects were charged for the New York portion of the thefts. It was a significant step, but only a fraction of the whole puzzle. The authorities had managed to link these individuals to the crime, establishing their roles in the heist. These suspects, however, were merely the tip of the iceberg. The real masterminds, those who had orchestrated the entire operation from behind the scenes, remained elusive. The hunt was far from over. But this marked a critical turning point in the investigation. It was a clear message to the world. No matter how sophisticated the crime, no matter how perfect the plan, the law always has a way of catching up. In the end, their perfect crime was not so perfect after all. This audacious crime shook the world, but it also taught us valuable lessons. The $45 million ATM heist was not just a crime, but a wake-up call. It exposed the vulnerabilities of our financial systems, like a spotlight on the cracks in a dam. It revealed how even the most seemingly secure structures can be compromised with enough audacity and cunning. This crime underscored the urgent need for better security measures. It forced financial institutions to rethink their strategies, to fortify their defenses, to invest more in cybersecurity. It reminded us that in this digital age, our greatest weapon is not a physical key or a vault, but knowledge and vigilance. The lessons learned from this crime have had far-reaching implications. It has pushed for the development and implementation of more sophisticated security systems. It has prompted a global conversation about the importance of cybersecurity and the need to stay one step ahead of the criminals. And so, the $45 million heist serves as a stark reminder of the ever-pervasive threat of cybercrime and the importance of vigilance in our interconnected world.